Downwell, a game where the name tells you exactly what the game is. You play as a dude named Will Taro who's just vibing at a park when he decides to jump down a well. Just another Tuesday, you might say, but what he decides to bring with him makes up the majority of the interestingness of this game, that being the gun boots. As you can guess, these are boots, just with guns attached to them. So, how is this game interesting, and why should you play it? Let's talk about it. Once down the well, there are 4 worlds with 3 levels each, with a 5th world being the final boss with only 1 level. They aren't connected via a world map, but instead you just get moved on to the next level. This may remind you of arcade games, which is something you'll notice a lot about Downwell. This may sound short, except for the fact that you likely will not make it down the well the first time. At first, you might become frustrated, and the fact that the game makes the level layout random will make it difficult to know how to handle the game. But this game is all about learning and patience. Since you only have 4 HP, each thought counts. This game has no live system and no continue system, so once you're done for that entire session, no matter how far you got. This might be a turnoff if you really hate this style of game, but I still encourage you to keep watching, since you might be interested in picking this game up. Luckily for you, the gun boots make the entirety of Downwell interesting. They serve 2 main purposes, to shoot enemies and to decrease your descent. What is great is that the controls are solid enough to make them super enjoyable to use. You only move left and right and can jump, and holding jump uses the gun boots. It's simple, yet extremely effective, which also goes for the graphics. Using an extremely limited palette of colors might sound bad, but it really isn't. The game utilizes them to the max, and it looks pretty solid for what they were going for. The gun boots have a limited amount of ammo, represented by charge on the right of the screen. This can be increased in a few ways, but first, we need to talk about gems. Gems are the main collectible, and can be used to purchase items at shops. Time warps will randomly appear around the well, with several things being inside. Shops allow you to spend your gems on things like extra charge, healing your health, or even increasing your max health. Since health is extremely important, it's a much smarter idea to invest in that, but some situations may benefit with more firepower. The prices increase throughout the game along with the increased gem earnings, so you also have to be smart about what you buy and when. Other time warps will provide gem piles, which require you to shoot at them to have mass amounts of gems fly everywhere, and others will have gun modules. Not only do these either heal 1 HP or increase your charge by 2, it also changes the type of gun. You start with a machine gun, but it can become a burst, shotgun, and more. All of them are pretty unique, and each type of gun changes the way your charge is laid out, so a shotgun will have a lot less shots, but much more power. Makes you consider picking up that laser module or not. I think the best part of this game is the learning curve I touched on briefly earlier. Once you die in a level, you can remember in your mind that, oh, this enemy does this, so I'll just do this to counter it, and I think that is amazing. However, if the only thing that this game has is descent, it would get repetitive quickly. Luckily, the game introduces new enemies throughout each level, so you constantly get introduced to many different enemies. Another thing that gets introduced are upgrades. You get a little blurb on how each one works, but for the most part, you're left to learn how useful each one is. I think this fits with the trial and error style of the game well. If you find an upgrade that's extremely useful, you're more likely to pick it, or if there's one that's barely useful, you can just ignore it the next time. Once you get to the end of the game, you have a bunch of charge, upgrades, and health to spare, and this is when the game gets insanely fun with the combos you can get. Combos are more than just killing enemies. If you can kill enough, you will be rewarded with gems, charge, and even HP if you kill enough. I enjoy this aspect a lot, since it's a risk-reward type thing. Sure, you're going out of your way to kill more bad guys, but what happens if you accidentally get hit by one? Will it be worth it if you're just going for 1 extra hit point? I think so, especially since they're so fun to pull off, and the game makes a big deal once you reach a certain number of enemies hit. Especially in the final world is where they shine the most. Something I want to touch on really quickly before my final conclusion is that the music in this game, while nothing spectacular, is really good in the context of the game. Is it good listening to it on its own? No, it's got a bunch of gaps and is extremely repetitive. However, in the arcade vibe of the game, it works extremely well. For this review, I played the game on PC. However, is that the version I recommend? Yes and no. This game, as you could probably tell, is also on a phone. It's also on the Switch. The PS4 version existed digitally, but it appears it has been taken down with no way to get in anymore. A physical copy for both Switch and PS4 were made, but now they can only be found for a ludicrous amount of money for this game. So, which version do I recommend? Well, I think PC by far has a superior control scheme. You can play with a keyboard and a controller, and I think plugging in an Xbox controller is the best option. On Switch, you are limited to just a controller, which is fine, but still feels not as good as the Xbox One controller. And on mobile, you are limited to just touch controls. Controller might work, but I have not tested that. However, I think mobile might be the way to go. The difficulty is made even harder on a phone, but it also makes it a lot more fun in my opinion. However, this game is $3. Yes, $3 for the whole game. No microtransactions, no ads, just $3 for the whole experience. So quite honestly, I would recommend buying this game twice if you can. I bought it on all 3 platforms and could not be more happy with my purchases. So, Downwell. Do I recommend it? Heck yeah! For $3, it doesn't make sense not buying it. While it may seem simple on the surface, this game gets surprisingly tough, and is a ton of fun. When you first get it, it's a matter of how far down you can get, but then it becomes how fast you can beat it, and that's a concept I can get behind. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment would make my day. And as always, have a good one.